Hi, I'm Captain John Craig for Air Canada. I'm the fleet manager on the Boeing 767, and we're just preparing today to plan a flight to Maui. We're going to be operating Air Canada 043 from Calgary to Maui. We've brought up the flight plan from the computer, and we're operating today with fin number 691, which is a 767-300ER with Pratt & Whitney engines. The routing is included in here. We're running a cost index 20, so fairly low speed on the ocean today. We have a cameraman in the jump seat today, which is listed on the flight plan. Today our destination OGG is Maui. We're using an alternate airport of Honolulu. We're expecting a burn of 38.8 tons of fuel. That's 38,800 kilograms of fuel is our total fuel, with a burn of 28,500 kilos. Block time from gate to gate is planned at 6 hours 45, which is 20 minutes under the normal schedule of 7 hours and 5 minutes. Fairly light load today. We got 264 seats, only 166 passengers today. And that'll give us an expected takeoff weight of 146.4 tons, which is 40 tons under the max takeoff weight allowed for a 767-300. The routing today, and we've plotted out on a plotting chart. We're going out of Calgary, over top of Vancouver, entering the ocean just past Vancouver Island, and operating towards the Hawaiian Islands. On the map, we've plotted an equal time point. We're operating 767-300, that's etops, 180 minutes certified. And the equal time point is our decision point for a diversion should we have any occurrence requiring us to divert. Prior to this point, we're heading to San Francisco if something goes wrong. And after this point, we continue on to our destination of Maui. Looks like a good weather day for departure today. This is the routing on the computer. Showing the green arcs there are 60-minute arcs around the airports, and the larger ones are 180-minute arcs. So the first time we leave 60 minutes from an airport is right here, which is Eugene, Oregon, and then we're into the 180 etops. And the next time we come within 60 minutes of an airport is when we enter the area 60 minutes around Maui. There's only a few flights been out there this morning. A little bit of light turbulence reported by one of our Air Canada flights out there, but in general we expect a pretty good ride today with just a little bit of light turbulence. For the weather today, there's one jet stream we're crossing here at 42 degrees north latitude, showing 100 knots from the west to the east. That's at flight level 350. We're estimating being at 36,000 feet at this point and climbing to 38,000 feet later in the flight. That's showing the winds at our altitude en route. In general, we're going to have a fairly strong headwind for the first half of the flight, switching to a tailwind for the second half of the flight, which is going to give us an average of a plus 5 knot component for the entire flight, which is good for this route, which gives us 20 minutes under schedule today. That's a sideways view, but that shows us our flight level in relationship to the winds aloft for the entire route. We've checked the NOTAMs. There's nothing major today. There's no snags on the aircraft, and we expect a hopefully an on-time departure and a good flight to Maui.
Well, hi there. My name is Sean Reinekar. I'm a first officer on the 767. Toronto-based. I've been with Air Canada for about 15 years now, and it's a great job. Love it. Flying has been my dream ever since I was a little boy, and it really feels nice when you get to the big airplanes like this. There's so many rewards, I just can't even list them all right now. But what I have to do, we're on our way to Maui, so I've been given the job of pre-flighting the airplane. So I'm going to start with a few things that I have to do. The captain is just briefing the crew in the back, and I'm going to start getting things ready. First thing I do is I put in what's called our FMS base, our FMC, I'm sorry. We put in the lat and long, or latitude and longitude, to let the FMC know exactly where it is. So I put the coordinates into the box, and I cross-check them with my book to make sure that the coordinates that I have put in are right, so the airplane is in the right position. as you can see, I put in the positions for the gate 24, and we have the latitude and longitude positions listed here. Okay, so now I'm going to check the back panel, like I said, for pre-flight. And the first thing I'm going to do is check our stall warning system. What that does is you're going to hear that the shaker on our control column will shake. So I'm testing to make sure that if we inadvertently accidentally pitch the airplane up too high and get into what's called a stall, that we do have a warning system. So the left one, you can hear that. That's the captain's control column shaking. That would be warning you that, uh-oh, we're about to approach a stall, better do something. Now I'm testing the right one, which is mine. You can hear that. That's shaking, saying we're about to stall. If I test them both, I'm testing not only the warning, but if we don't react for some reason, if we're both, I don't know, asleep or not paying attention, we wouldn't be asleep, the actual pusher, the control column will actually push forward on its own automatically and push the nose forward to what's called break the stall or regain airspeed. If you want to see, you'll see the control column go forward. It'll come back. Next, I'm just going to check all the different fire squibs, and if they light up, we're good. I'm also going to test it on number 2. They all light up. The AP1 won't because it only has one fire detection movement. I check for all the switches to be in the proper position here. Then I'll come down and make sure everything's fine here. This is the rear observer seat communication panel. There's not much to check here. We usually leave it on intercom. We come down here, test. These are most maintenance things. We can test up here to see all these slight balls go up and then they come back down. There shouldn't be any of those in there. This would be the rear observer's oxygen mask. We can just test to see that we are getting flow and that it is working. There's circuit breakers down here. There's some bags in the way, but you can see them. We test to make sure none of them are out or popped. And as you can see, they are all good. Fire extinguisher is good there. We make sure all our emergency equipment is there. And then I'm going to walk back to the door, and we have an emergency code to get in the door now. And we want to make sure that works, and we want to make sure that the lock does work to keep people out of or any intruders out of the cockpit. Once I've completed checking the door, I'm just going to make sure, again, there's another oxygen mask here, and that would be for if we had a second observer sitting in the seat here, that would be their oxygen mask during a depressurization. We test that that's working, and it does. And then I look at what's called our onboard library to make sure we have all our manuals and everything we might need in flight properly on board. The rest of the stuff here is the captain's. He'll be checking that himself, as well as I'll be checking my personal documents over there, my onboard library on that side, as well as my oxygen mask, and then we will start a complete cockpit check. So this is the stand-up is what we call, where one person stands up, and that's why it's called stand-up, and checks all the things while the other flying pilot is sitting down. So what we do, we take the ATIS and we take our takeoff weight and the runway in use and the temperature and the altimeter settings, and we program it into the computer, and it gives us a calculated watt, which is our V1 speed, our V2 speed. It'll tell us, it's like our balanced field length. It calculates everything we need to know where the speed at V1, whether we're to reject or not, it'll calculate that for us. And we will enter that into our computer, and it's just printed off now. And as you can see, these are all our different speeds for our different weights. And today we're going to be at about 147, 146, according to our flight plan with our fuel and all our passengers. We're going to be 146,000 kilos for takeoff, and we will use the 147 number, depending on the wind and depending on whether there's a tailwind or a headwind. If there's no wind, then we'll count it as zero wind. If there's a tailwind, we use the -5 chart, and if there's a headwind, we use the +10. So we'll be doing that a little later in our programming. Right now, we're going to start our front panel cockpit check.
Okay, so during the cockpit check, we just do a general scan. IRSs we've already aligned in position. Yaw dampers are on. This is all of our hydraulics which are currently off right now. We're going to do a test of the voice recorder momentarily.
All the enunciators are normal for now. HF right now is an upper sideband. First part of the day we check that the standby power goes to battery and we get 2 discharge lights. Currently we're on external power right now. Engine generators are off. APU will start closer to departure. It's a test on the cockpit voice recorder. Just lighting. Emergency lights are armed. We're flight 43, so we'll use number 1 ignition system for the start. Ignitions are in auto. Fuel dumping's off. Right now all the fuel pumps are off, and we got 39,000 kilos of fuel, which is 200 kilos more than the minimum for flight plan. Window heat and cargo heat goes on. On this aircraft, second HF radio goes in data for our HF data link. Seatbelt, no smoking are on. We enter the landing elevation for Maui, which we'll guess at 10 feet for now, and we'll look up a better one. Cabin auto controller is in 1 and normal. And air conditioning. We'll set up to be ready for when we start the APU. Thank you. Currently it's 26 degrees Celsius in the back of the airplane, so it's warm back there right now. We'll cool it down shortly. And going back here, he's at 54 feet, so we'll set 50 feet for the landing altitude. Mechanical checklist for before start, after start, and before takeoff checklist. Flight vector's on. We're departing up runway 16, which is a heading of 163. No clearance yet, so we keep 0 in the altitude alerter.
Victoria Stampede 5, 161744 West End.
All nuts engines are normal. Right now for max takeoff EPR on the engines, Pratt & Whitney powered engines are set by EPR 161, which Sean will record on the flight plan. We'll just check the existing messages on the airplane on the ICAS screen right now and make sure that they're applicable for the configuration we're in right now, which they are. We got lots of oil for departure. Hydraulics and oxygen are serviced normally. Previously we had checked on here that we are 767-300 with Pratt & Whitney engines. We've got a database in here that's good till April 5th. And the fuel flow factor in this aircraft is 3% over normal burn. Position was already initialized and aligned on the gate here. Right now the parking brake's set. We got lots of parking brake pressure. Stabilizer trim is set. Radios are set up for normal departure. That's clearance delivery and then the ground frequency. First part of the day, we'll do a fire test.
Push up 547, push the start 40, your discussion.
Wheel fire warning was tested, and now here's the engine fire warning. There's 52, 552.
Morning, clear West Jet 253 at Delta 48 information. Charlie Edwards.
Push it 2.
There's a test coming up in our TCAS.
Stampede 5 departure, flight 5 reach. Depart runway 16, log 1750.
TCAS system test, okay.
5016.
And on the outer transponder,
Just to apron.
We have an our detail from gate 17 to gate 21.
TCAS system test failed.
Just to apron, your discussion.
Discussion take.
we'll try that one again and see what they'll test. Otherwise, we got to talk to maintenance over that one.
TCAS system test, okay.
It's all okay there now. So up to the forward panels. Got airspeeds 358.
I got 358.
Altimeter setting was 2963 inches, gives me 3,570 feet.
3,570 feet as well on 2963 inches.
1352 is checked on the time. And on the standby, we also have 2963 inches set for 3,560 feet. Thank you. The heading right now is 361, 361, or 001, sorry.
001, 001.
Up top is 009.
I check my clock, make sure that's functional, check that my switches are all in place. We do have good hydraulic pressure. These are warnings if we're doing any Category 3 landings. Make sure that that works fine and we clear the, if there is a message there. I check all my indications as well as cross-checking with the captain. And I look across and I check that my time matches with the computer, so we're good for that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk to clearance delivery, and we're going to read back. This is what's called a PDC, pre-departure clearance, and we're going to confirm it with them, acknowledge that we've received it, and it tells us what transponder code to put in here, and tells us our routing and how we're supposed to depart out of here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So basically we're going to cross-check the routing with our flight plan routing and make sure it coincides, and if there's a difference, this one overrules that. So basically it's going to be a Stampede 5 departure off runway 16, and we've got a clearance identifier 977 kilo. Alright, and our routing is Canop, Victor 304 Spray, Jet 508 Yankee November Yankee, Booth, Jet 508 Vancouver, Tango Oscar Uniform, and point 46 north, 130 west, flight plan routing. So we check that cross-checks, it coincides. The transponder code is 1747, which the captain will enter here. We also check there's our flight level at 360. That's our altitude we'll be climbing to. We are departing out of Calgary. And we also check that this is a good date and a good time that we're receiving this, and it's not an old clearance from, let's say, yesterday's flight or something. So now I'm going to confirm this with clearance and talk to them and acknowledge that I've received this. Clearance delivery, good morning, Air Canada 043 Heavy.
Canada 43 Heavy, clearance.
Morning, sir. We're at gate 24. We have information Charlie and a PDC identifier of 977 kilo.
Air Canada 43, read back correct.
Air Canada 043.
Clearance, good morning. It's check 263 with Charlie. Looks like I fired Kinsley.
Okay, it looks like we just talked to our stock coordinator. We took a brief look at the wings, and there's a little bit of frost in the wings, so the plan here this morning, -5. They can de-ice in the gate here, but it looks like they're going to send us over to the central de-icing facility to do frost spray there before we depart, just to make sure the wings are clear of any contamination before we go flying.
Your spray will be, if you need it to push you back 10 feet, they'll just spray you at the gate, and then the engine start after.
Okay, great. Okay, so we just talked to our stock control, and as the captain was explaining that we will need a slight frost spray. We're just going to de-ice and get that frost off the wings. What they're planning to do is push us back about 20 feet. They'll quickly spray us, spray the wings at the gate when we're 20 feet back from the gate, and then we'll be underway. So it shouldn't take too long. It probably takes about 5-10 minutes at the most. What we're going to do now is we've talked to clearance. We have our clearance in our airways, and we're going to program the FMC, or Flight Management Computer, to let it know where it has to go.
Romeo 463. APAC, Alpha Papa Alpha Charlie Kilo. Direct to Maui, Oscar Golf Golf. And that's it, go ahead.
Okay, now we're going to double check what we've put in, cross check it, make sure we haven't made any mistakes when we're entering all our routing. So I've got Calgary, Charlie Yankee Yankee Charlie, to Papa Hotel off Oscar Golf, which is Maui, off runway 16, Air Canada 043. It's a Stampede 5 departure for vectors to Canop, Victor 304 to Spray, Jet 508 to Yankee November Yankee, direct Booth, Jet 508 to Vancouver, Yankee Victor Romeo, direct Tango Oscar Uniform, direct 46 north, 130 west. Direct of 43 north, 135 west. Direct Zager. Direct Helop, Alpha 332 to Auntie. Romeo 463 to APAC. Direct to Oscar Golf Golf.
It's all correct, you can activate. Okay, it's executed. Active route 1. Perpinit, just stand by. Reserves are 4.0. Zero fuel weight 108.0. Should be around 147 tons. Initial cruise altitude flight level 360. Cost index 20. And step size is 0. Okay, so the watch off of runway 16, we've got 12,675 feet of runway, flap 5, temperatures minus 4 degrees Celsius, 2963 on the altimeter setting, 147 tons. And right now, the wind's 210 at 3, which is slightly favorable, so we'll use 0 wind. Assumed temperature, you can go to 44 degrees. Speeds, V1, 148.
V1, 148.
VR, 149.
VR 149.
V2, 154.
V2 154.
So up top, it's V1, 148.
148. V1.
VR, 149.
VR 149.
V2, 154.
154.
And the other two speeds good to 150 tons are 188 and 228.
I cross-check and I concur 188, 228.
There's yours to cross-check.
Thank you.
Start DFU now.
It all checks.
You all set for takeoff briefing?
Affirmative.
So it's Stampede 5 departure for Calgary, page 10-3 Charlie, which is 13th of January 2011. Transition altitude here will be flight level 180. Safe altitude within 100 nautical miles is 13,900. The comm failure procedure is on here. For runway 16, it's climb on runway heading for vectors with no turns below 6,500 feet. And it's climb to and maintain 7,000 for vectors to assigned route or depicted fix. So 7,000 is set, and in the FMC it's confirmed that it's going to fly heading 163 for vectors, so LNAV is armed for the departure.
We also check for noise abatement. There's certain airports that have stringent noise restrictions. They don't want us waking up people this early in the morning, so they have different climbs they want us to do or ways to get depart from the airport, which is called a noise abatement procedure. And you can see for Calgary we have a noise abatement procedure for runway 16. Climb runway heading to 6,500 MSL before proceeding on course. So we can't make any turns until we're at least at 6,500 feet.
Yeah, and that was already on the SID plate as well. So for Toka, off the 1010 Bravo page, all departures Calgary. It's runway 16 Toka is 4,200. If an engine failures prior to the initial turn, continue on runway heading to 6,100 for the turn. So 4,200 for Toka, minus 4 degrees Celsius will correct it to 4,300 feet.
And basically what this is instructions for if we have an engine failure. If one of our engines is to fail, this is telling us what they're expecting us to do. We don't need to talk to air traffic control right away. They're expecting us, if we have an engine failure, we're going to continue on the runway heading, which is 163, and up to 6,100 prior to turning. We won't level off until at least 4,200 feet. So that's our instructions in case of an engine failure. Now that we've completed all that,
Okay, we've got a preliminary load that just came in. So we checked to make sure it's correct. It says flight 043 on the 14th of March out of Calgary to Maui. That's correct. VIN number 691 is the aircraft number we are in today. And it's calling for fuel on board of 38.8. We got 39.0, which is 200 kilos over what we need, which we'll just manually correct that. That's okay. And estimated zero fuel weight is 107.1 for an estimated takeoff weight of 145.5. We've got no live cargo today and no dangerous goods. So this is the preliminary one, and we'll wait for a final load that will have our stabilizer trim setting and final numbers on it.
Okay, so the flight attendant, or the in-charge flight attendant, has just come and given us our passenger count form. And as you can see, the numbers 41, 70, and 50 in their zone counts. These are the different zones in the airplane. This is just for our weight and balance to know what trim setting we need. Make sure that everybody's not all sitting in the back and the front is empty. Then we'd have to have a larger trim setting. So we basically see where they're sitting and how many there are in each zone. That matches with our final load, which is 41, 70, and 50, and this will be our trim setting to make sure that when we rotate the airplane, we're not going to over-rotate and hit the tail. So we're going to set 2.9 when we taxi out. So this cross-checks, everything's good. We've closed the doors, we're getting ready for departure. Ground, good morning, Air Canada 043 Heavy, gate 24, requesting pushback 20 feet for de-icing.
And calling for the pushback on 21-3. And Jazz 360, a go.
29,300 feet.
I believe so, yes, Charlie 4 for Jazz 134.
Thanks, we'll show that.
Air Canada's 043 Heavy, pushback off gate 24 for de-icing.
Canada 043 Heavy, thanks. Are they going to de-ice you there, or do you have to taxi over to ramp 2?
Negative, it'll be about 20 feet back from the gate, they said right here.
Check that, thank you. You can do the de-ice push your discretion then, and let me know when they're ready to move you back all the way.
Okay, clear to push, and we'll call you back when we need taxi Air Canada 043.
Roger.
Okay, I heard that. Before start, check us, please.
Clarence, good morning. It's Trans-Canada 100.
Windows and doors?
Closed, lights on.
Information.
Closed.
Hydraulics?
Hydraulics?
Transcam 100, hello, Edmonton, Calgary 3, flight plan of 16, squad
Set.
52.
Fuel economy and pumps?
Check 6 on.
Cabin signs?
On.
Pax isolation valve?
Off and on.
Any collision?
It's on.
Transponder.
It is 1747 and standby.
4-star check is complete.
Good morning, it's Jazz 373 with Charlie.
And flight deck, ground flight deck, the brakes are released. You're clear to commence pushback. Let us know when to stop, and we'll tell you when you're configured for spray.
Okay, commencing.
Flight plan of 16, 5253, Jazz, please.
Okay, pushback complete for spray. Can you set your brakes, please, and configure?
Okay, so complete the before start check this prior to pushback. APU bleed valve off.
It's off.
You selected it off. And checklist is complete for...
Roger, thanks. Can you check the brakes are set? We are configured for spray.
Canada 043 Heavy, push start your discretion, advise ready to go.
Okay, brakes are released.
Call you back for the taxi.
We are cleared to push back the rest of the way, and we're delaying engine starts until advised.
Okay, commencing
Clarence,
push.
delivery Alberta 82, ready.
So right now as the engine's starting, starter's engaged. We're up to 22 N2 right now, and when it reaches the maximum N2, we'll put the fuel on, and we'll look for an EGT rise showing that the engine's starting.
So he's put the fuel on. You can see there's a slight fuel flow. That means that we're getting fuel. EGT means exhaust gas temperature. The fuel has been ignited. And it's heating up nicely, and it's rotating our N1 fan now.
Okay, your pushback is complete. Can you set your brakes, please?
Parking brake is set. Confirm when pins removed.
One of the most important things we want to watch for is that this exhaust gas temperature doesn't go too high. That means we're getting a hot start, and we could actually cook our engine per se. So we make sure that's a nice steady increase, and you see it's slowing down nicely. The engines are stabilizing. This will come back to about 264, 265. It'll increase back to about 300 degrees, and then we know that we have a good start. All parameters are not moving, they're normal and in their proper settings.
Pins are removed.
Check pins removed, you can revert to hand signals, have a good day.
You too, guys.
You can call ground as a take.
Left engine's normal after start checklist.
APU,
It's off.
engine anti-ice,
Off, not required.
cargo heat, there's no live.
On and normal.
Packs and isolation valves,
Auto and off.
recall,
Checked.
auto brakes,
RTO.
and flaps.
5.
After start checklist complete.
Air Canada 043, head to spot 9, call 12535 there. You have a good day.
Spot 92535 there, Canada's 043.
Roger.
This is now where I will set the stab trim for our takeoff setting of 2.9 on our trim setting display here. As I run the trim up and down, you can see it moving. That's 3, that's 4, I need 2.9, so bring it back to up there and set it for takeoff.
Is that Jazz 373?
Ground Air Canada 043 Heavy, spot 9.
Cat 043 Heavy, ground runway 16, altimeter 2964, taxi Charlie 6 Charlie, car 1184, holding short.
Charlie 6 at Charlie, 2964, and 184 holding short, runway 16 Air Canada 043.
Roger.
2964 inches is set. And can you go ahead the before takeoff checklist, please?
Before takeoff checklist. Auto brakes. RTO. Flight controls.
Put it up. Put it right.
Ailerons left. Ailerons right. Elevators up. Elevators down. Flight controls check. Takeoff data.
Station 9498, ground runway 16, altimeter 2964, taxi
It's clear, right?
Alpha, cross from 07, hold
Flat 5,
short,
44
uniform.
degrees, runway 16, there's no shift. It's 148, 149, 154, 154 knots, LNAV, 163 degrees on the heading, 7,000 feet. We've got our takeoff speeds, we've got a TOCA set, we've got a squawk code and a transponder, and I'll say set.
Reviewed and set.
Flaps are 5 selected. 5 required, 5 selected, 5 indicated.
5 selected and indicated.
Trim is 2.9 units, rudder and aileron 0.
Units, rudder aileron 0.
And PA to go.
Go ahead to PA.
Flight attendants, please take position for takeoff. PA completed, ADI HSI. Check.
Tango Sierra Kilo ground, taxi Yankee Bravo Charlie, on runway 25, hold short, runway 16.
Checked.
Packs are auto. Weather radar and terrain.
Terrain's on the left side.
And terrain on the right side for the mountains. Transponder is 1747 TARA on the left side before takeoff checklist complete.
When we do go, it's 148, 149, 154, runway heading to 7,000 with a TOCA of 4,300, and we're in LNAV, transition is 180.
All set?
Morning, Tower Canada's 043 Heavy is with you, holding short, runway 16, ready for takeoff.
Air Canada 043 Heavy at terrestrial line, runway 16.
Line up runway 16 and wait, Air Canada 043.
Clear left.
Clear on the right.
Air Canada 043 Heavy, contact departure 12452 airborne, winds 180 at 5 from threshold, cleared takeoff runway 16.
2452 in the air, clear to go off runway 16, Air Canada 043.
2452 is set at standby, lights are on.
Roger, I check clear for takeoff.
Tower, Hawk 2 with you. Hawk 2 Tower, winds 180 at 5, altimeter 2964. Remain east of runway 16 at all times. At about 4,500, lift off your discretion, fly heading 130. Okay, east of 16, 130 on the heading, not about 45. Hawk 2.
Press set. 80.
Roger.
B1. Rotate. Positive rate.
You're up. Hold on. Command center. PRD nav speed. You want us to departure?
Oh yeah.
Thumbs up.
Departures, good morning, Air Canada. It's 043 Heavy with you. Airborne off runway 16 out of 6,000 feet for 7,000.
Okay, 043 Heavy, Calgary departure, but identified climb, flight level 250.
Clear to flight level 250, Air Canada 043.
Yeah, 043, roger, turn right, direct Canada on course.
All right, turn direct Takeoff on course, Air Canada 043.
Quick count, please. Execute. Brunel nav, direct canop. Flight level 250 is set.
Yeah, but it's center now, 13265. 13265, voice at 2310.
10,000 for flight level 250.
Roger. That's good. Fuel is good.
Jazz 134, but it's center now,
We'll leave them melted and
13285.
seated for a while.
3285.
Leave the seatbelt sign on.
Alpha Zulu uniform contact, but center now, 13285.
3285 for Edmonton, good morning, Air Canada 043 Heavy with you out of 11.6 for 250.
Air Canada 043 Heavy, Evan Center, roger, climb, flight level 280.
280, Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 7050, contact Edmonton arrival now, 1205.
20.5, Air Canada 7050, okay.
Roger.
Edmonton, Air Canada 043.
Go ahead.
I just got 200 now, we're smooth, but how are the rides up above?
I've got no complaints up to flight level 280.
Okay, 043.
Join us 15 early into OCT. Thanks. Maui.
Okay, so we've departed Calgary and we're right now cruising at 36,000 feet, Mach decimal 797. When we left Calgary, we were parked at gate 24. We did our pushback and de-ice off of gate 24 into the area just near Charlie 6 taxiway. And following engine start, we taxied out taxiway Charlie 6 with a right turn onto Charlie taxiway, and then a left turn to hold short at runway 16. And then we took off southbound off of runway 16 shortly after departure, given a right turn out on course over the mountains. And pretty decent climb. We had a bit of turbulence in the lower levels, but now we're up at 36,000 feet. We've got a good ride. On the departure, the SID calls for runway heading to 7,000 feet. Shortly after departure, when Sean made the call to the departure controller, they gave us some radar vectors en route for the first part, and then direct to our first point on our flight plan. Right now, with the route we've programmed into the FMC, it'll be displayed on our map, on our EHSI, or electronic HSI. So right now what you see for the green is terrain from the enhanced GPWS system. And we're over the mountains right now, so basically for high terrain here, we're looking at 14,400 feet being the highest altitude of terrain here for obstacle clearance. And if we were to have something such as a rapid depressurization, we'd be descending down to 15,000 feet only until we were clear of the terrain. Our current clearance right now, we're going direct to the Vancouver VOR, which is YVR, or Yankee Victor Romeo, and that's right up here. The other points we have along the way are just waypoints that were in our initial flight plan that we no longer have to go to, but those are abeam those points so we can do fuel checks and time checks by those points. Like I said, for the initial part of the flight, we're planned at 36,000 feet, or that's flight level 360 on a standard pressure of 2992 inches of mercury. And for cruise, for the efficiency cost index that we put in the FMC, it's calling us for an econ, or economical speed, of Mach 794. And currently the airplane's showing Mach decimal 801, or 266 knots indicated airspeed. And we will climb up to flight level 380, or 38,000 feet, about halfway into the flight after we burn off a bit of fuel. If you remember, we departed with 39,000 kilos of fuel, and right now our fuel gauges are down to 35,000. So it's taken us 4,000 kilos to get up to this altitude and this far into the flight. And the fuel burns right now on each engine. We're showing 2.4 and 2.5. That's in kilos per hour. So total of 4,900 kilograms per hour is what we're burning at right now. So you can see we have EPR, or engine pressure ratio, shown there. All the setting of the power is done automatically through our auto throttle system to the speed that's programmed into the flight management system. N1 is the rotation speed in percent of the N1 rotor of the engines. EGT, exhaust gas temperature. N2, the N2 rotor, and fuel flow, as I already mentioned. Other engine indications: oil pressure, oil temperature, oil quantity, and vibrations, detecting any vibration that might indicate some engine damage, which is all good right now. The other thing we can display is some status of our hydraulic systems and flight controls. And in general, this is our aileron, elevator, and rudder indications, showing the airplanes in trim with very little control input right now. The aircraft right now is being flown by autopilot, the center autopilot. Up here, there's the center autopilot, which on departure, when I said command center, that was the request for Sean to put on the center autopilot. There are two other autopilots in this aircraft that can all do the same thing, the left and right. And for a low visibility approach and automatic landing, the airplane would actually automatically use all three autopilots at the same time for redundancy. In normal flight operations, other than the reduced visibility landings, we just use one autopilot at a time. And just by convention at Air Canada, as long as everything's serviceable, we usually fly on the center autopilot. Takeoff was done manually, but as you could see when I called command center at about 1,000 feet on takeoff, that's when the autopilot goes on. And then at that point, the job just becomes monitoring the aircraft and the systems and our programming in the flight management system. So for those of you that don't fly aircraft, the autopilot does do a lot of the work, but it's only as good as the person or people programming it. It'll do whatever we tell it to do, which if we're incorrect, that's not good. So we're always constantly monitoring the aircraft performance and autopilot performance. And for our flight today, almost all of it will be done on autopilot, and it's only the last little bit of the approach and landing into Maui, which we'll take the autopilot off and land manually. And for a pilot, that's our fun part, where we actually get to fly by hand. And the majority of the flight, as I said, is monitoring and becomes somewhat repetitive, but we have lots of things to keep us busy with checking fuel, checking weather, ensuring the aircraft's performing on the track we want it to, and our communication with air traffic control throughout the route today. Okay, so we've past Vancouver and over Vancouver Island. Now we're out over the Pacific Ocean, just continuing our journey on to Maui. We departed on schedule, and even with the de-icing, we're still showing we're 15 minutes early into Maui. When we entered the ocean, or just prior to entering the ocean, the one thing we do is recheck the weather to make sure that it's suitable for continuing. As we mentioned earlier on, we're operating under 180-minute etops rules, so we can go up to 180 minutes away from the nearest airport in still air, single engine conditions. So that will cater to the worst case scenario of having an engine failure or a decompression with an engine failure. And today we have plotted our map with our routing here in yellow, and right at north 3355 and west 14355, that's what we call an equal time point. And prior to that position, should we have any reason to divert, we're holding San Francisco as our first etops alternate, and we would turn around and parallel the track initially and work on getting clearance to San Francisco. If we have a problem after that point, then we've passed the point of no return, and our second etops alternate is indeed Maui, our destination. And for this reason, we actually have to carry a fair bit of extra fuel to cater for the worst case scenario. The fuel we had in departure was 38,800 kilograms, and of that, there's 4,700 kilograms we're carrying additional within that 38,800 to cater for the scenario where we have to go down to 10,000 feet with a loss of pressurization and or an engine out. And in a perfect world, we won't need that, and we'll have 4,700 kilograms of extra fuel when we get to Maui. The weather we need for San Francisco and for Maui are for alternate limits to qualify as an alternate airport. Off the ACAR system, we've brought up the weather, and Maui weather, 21 Zulu is roughly our arrival time, and the weather there is just calling for scattered clouds, good visibility, and the winds out of 050 at 18, gusting 28. So we're planning on probably landing on runway 02 into Maui. San Francisco, if we were to need it, is also reasonable weather. It's calling for for our period of arrival, just 1,500 scattered, 3,000 broken, and better than 6 miles visibility in light rain showers. So if we needed to divert there, the weather is suitable as well. Currently we're heading to a geographic position that's at north 46 degrees and west 130 up here. And nearing that position or after that position, we're going to call and request a clearance up to flight level 380, 38,000 feet. Now that we've burned off a bit of fuel, it'll be more efficient for us to climb up. We're currently have the airplane set up to cruise at Mach decimal 79. 787 is what it's displaying right now, and our flight plan calls us to go up to 38,000 feet and back to Mach decimal 78 when we get there. As we approach this position, we on our map will actually go through the procedure for determining that we are actually where we're expecting to be, and that all the systems are working normally at that time, and then we'll actually plot a position on the map shortly after that position to ensure the aircraft's tracking properly. And this we do for geographic points that we've programmed into a flight plan. After 2 geographic points, then we're going to be on airways where the points are stored in the database, so it requires a little bit less checking. Our procedures are slightly different. So right now, over the ocean, initially our communication was with the Area Control Center on VHF, and we were talking to Calgary when we departed, then Edmonton, Vancouver, and eventually Seattle. And that got us to the point of oceanic entry. And over the ocean, we're going to be quite a ways from land, and the communications VHF are only line of sight, so we have to switch to HF communications. So San Francisco is the operator that monitors the radio frequencies there. We've checked in on frequency 5547 on the HF, and we're hooked up to cell call. And cell call is, if they need to get a hold of us, we'll get a chime going on in the cockpit, and we'll be able to answer them if they call us. Otherwise, at the next position, Sean will be giving a position report on HF. And the reason we don't monitor it constantly, as we do a VHF frequency, is there's a lot of static on an HF radio, and it's fairly annoying to monitor it for long periods of time. So we can turn it off, and if they need to get a hold of us, the cell call will come with a chime and a call light, and then we'll know to answer them. So in about 10 minutes, we'll be getting up in our next position, where we'll be doing it with our procedures for that position, and then you'll be able to listen to Sean give the position report. Okay, we're approaching our next position, which is 46 north and 130 west, and we have this quick reference handbook called our QRH normal that has our standard procedures in here. So we've got a oceanic etops procedures chart, which when we entered the ocean out of the Pacific, there's not a defined time where we have to start doing our oceanic, unlike the Atlantic, but we have entered oceanic airspace, and 2 to 3 minutes prior to our waypoint, which we're getting at now, we do some procedures, which are confirm the FMS present position, which currently we're showing 4613 north and 129.31 west, and we want to confirm that against the present position where we're heading to, which is 46 at 130. So we indeed are heading to the right position. And then together we compare the next FMC waypoint, which is, and confirm it's north 43, west 135.
Yeah, that's our point that we're going to. Yes.
And the tracking distance to the next point is 213 degrees for 280 miles.
215 and 280, that correlates with mine.
And confirm the FMS subsequent waypoint. And the subsequent waypoint from that is in the database, and it's called Zager.
And Zager is correct on the flight plan.
And the next things we do, as at waypoint passage, pilot flying, which is me, we check the altimeters, altitude, Mach number, and confirm the method of our FMS update, which on this aircraft is GPS equipped. It will tell us that GPS is our prime source of navigation update for the FMC. And then Sean will be going through recording the time, the altitude, temperature, wind, fuel, and then making a position report to San Francisco. And we note location of potential etops alternates. If we look here, it'll show us the 4 closest airports to us right now, which it's displaying Comox, Victoria, San Francisco, and Maui. The San Francisco and Maui are in large font because we've put them in ourselves, knowing that there are etops alternates. and the top two in small font. The ones in small font are the ones that are determined by the airplane to be the closest options to the divert. And it'll give us an estimated time and fuel remaining if we were to choose to divert to those airports from where we are right now.
Okay, so here we are back now. We're approaching the point that we explained as 46 north, 130 west. And as we get closer to that point, once we're over that point, I have to give what's called a position report. And what a position report basically is it's going to tell, we need to tell San Francisco radio that we are overhead a certain point, where we're going to next, and what time we'll be there, and the point after that, as well as how much fuel we're carrying on board. Unfortunately, when we're out over the ocean, there isn't radar coverage, so they can't really see us like they would, air traffic control would, over any land area. So they want to know where we are. So there's these significant points that we have to report. In case we go missing, they'll say, well, Air Canada 043 reported in at such a time over such a point. They can narrow their search. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And I pull up a screen that has it all laid out for me, which is the position report screen. And I'm going to be going on what's called a high frequency radio, HF radio, to talk to a gentleman who's actually just sitting at a desk, and he's just going to write down what I'm telling him and keep a copy of that. Unfortunately, there is no VHF or very high frequency coverage. We're not able to talk to anyone because we're over the water. The HF signal does travel far enough that we can communicate with someone. So here we go with that. San Francisco Radio, Air Canada 043, position.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco.
Okay, Air Canada 043 is overhead, 46 north, 130 west, 1630, flight level 360. Estimating 43 north, 135 west, 1711. Zagger next, fuel on board 28.7.
Canada 043, San Francisco, roger. Primary now is 11282, secondary 13288.
11282, just a second.
Okay, we got the 11282, and say again the backup frequency?
13288.
11282, 13288, Air Canada's 043.
Want to request the climb up to 380?
And Air Canada 043 is requesting climb to 380. What's happened? So what's happened now is he's given us another frequency on the HF assignment that we're going to call him on. We're going to request a climb to flight level 380 because we're at flight level 360 right now. And I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to tune this. And I'm also going to ask for a cell call check, which will ding in the cockpit. That way we know that he's able to ding us and communicate with us to let us know he needs to talk to us. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. San Francisco Radio, Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco, go ahead.
Requesting cell call check, Delta Echo Hotel Kilo. That's a good cell call for Air Canada 043. And as you can hear, there was the chime. That means that the cell call was successful. Now I'm going to request the climb. Okay, so now that we've finished talking and getting our cell call checked, we still do need to request a higher. But once I pass the point, I need to double check that what we're doing, how we're progressing, how much fuel we burn is correlating with the flight plan calculations. So that way we know we're not leaking fuel, we're not overburning fuel, and I want to just check. So basically all of my information is there, and I'm just going to write it down on the flight plan as it comes up. The time over 46 north, 130 west the computers tell me was at 30 minutes past the hour. We were supposed to be there at 32 past the hour, so we're about 2 minutes ahead of schedule. The next thing it's that we're at flight level 360, we're at the proper altitude. I check the winds. The winds are 270 off the computer at 7.3. I write that down, and you can see they're pretty close. If these winds were grossly stronger, or we had a much higher headwind, we'd have to worry and think, okay, we're going to burn a lot more fuel than anticipated. But right now, everything correlates. That's quite close. 264 at 63 to 270 at 7.3. The last thing I write down is the fuel. This is the fuel I should have had overhead. This is 28.7. This is the minimum fuel we should have, which is 22.3. I subtract the 2, I get 6,400 extra kilos that we have to play with that are in the tanks. So we're on the plus side, or the good side. So I write this down. I let the captain know that, Captain, we are 2 minutes ahead of schedule and we're up 6,400 kilos. Everything's correlating with the flight plan. If there was a problem, I'd say, oh, we're burning more fuel than we should. Then we'd have to start deciding how much fuel are we burning. Do we need to go somewhere else to get fuel? Are we going to make it to destination? Now I'm going to call on the HF and request to climb up to 380, because as the higher you get, the more fuel you save as well. So it's better to operate usually at a higher altitude. So we're going to go up to 380 now.
Minus 38, wind 285, diagonal 79er, fuel remaining 19er, decimal 9er, so
Air Canada 004, San Francisco, roger. This frequency is primary at 13288 secondary for the so-called shut.
That's cell call, okay, and say again the secondary 132.
As you can see, the frequency is a little busy right now, so I'm just waiting for it to clear until, and now it's just cleared, so I'm going to give him a call now.
San Francisco radio, Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco, go ahead.
Requesting flight level 380.
Roger, requesting flight level 380, standby request.
Air Canada 043. So basically we're just waiting for him to get the approval for us to go up to 380. And he'll call us back, he'll approve it, and then you'll see how John will be putting the altitude in and how the airplane will automatically, the throttles will automatically go forward, the airplane will pitch up automatically and climb up and level off itself at 380.
One thing to remember out here is that we're dealing with a radio operator on the HF frequency and not an air traffic controller. So after Sean talked to him, he's actually got to talk to a controller who will give him the clearance to give to us. So it's a waiting game now for us to hear back from them if they'll approve our request for flight level 380. And it can happen quickly, it can happen slowly, or it may not happen at all depending upon traffic out here. But as of the moment, we don't have any other traffic, but air traffic control will let us know.
Once we do receive the clearance for 380, John will put 380 in the altitude window. I'll enter it into the computer, the FMC computer, that tells it that, hey, we're cleared to 380. The computer will know that, hey, we want you to climb to 380. So we'll put that in there, we'll execute that, and then you'll see that the airplane will just start pitching up as the levers go forward, and it'll start a steady and smooth climb up to 380. Once at 380, it will level off. And you'll see the throttles come back. You need to add a little power in order to climb, and you need to reduce that power and go back when you're in cruise.
Air Canada 043, answering cell call.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco, clearing. ATC clears Air Canada 043, climb to reach flight level 380 by 1655, report level flight level 380, time check, current time 1642 and a half, read back.
Okay, your ATC clears Air Canada 043 to climb to flight level 380,
at no later than 1655. Time check now, 1642 and a half. And we will call reaching 380.
655, read that. Canada 043, the clearance reads climb to reach flight level 380 by 1655. Read that.
Clear to climb to flight level 380 by 1655, Air Canada 043.
Okay, I need to hear the word reach. I need to know that you will reach 380 by that time.
We are clear to reach 380 by time 1655, Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco, roger. San Francisco Radio, American 31, what's the position?
Okay, now we've received our clearance to climb to 380. So as you can see, John has put 380 in the window. I'm going to put 380 in our altitude page, cruise page.
Go
We're
ahead,
going to execute that. And this is where, as you can see, the throttles are advancing.
EPR, VNAV speed 360 for 380.
The airplane has pitched up on the attitude indicator. And you can see our altimeter is increasing now, and we're climbing.
And if you would mind entering Mach decimal 78 in cruise, please. Now you can execute. Three 370 for 380.
You can see now we're just approaching 38,000 feet. We go into a
Speed VNAV path.
speed VNAV path mode, which means that the throttles will come back, the airplane's leveling off, and leveling at 380 for cruising at 38,000 feet.
On the climb there, the Mach 78 is what we're planning to cruise at now. On the airspeed indicator, you can see these two yellow arcs have become closer. The higher we get, the what they call a high-speed buffet and low-speed buffet, the speeds which we get for a max speed and a minimum speed sort of close in on each other. So we're showing 246 knots indicated speed with about 266 as our max getting into the caution range for high speed, and 218 as our min for a caution with a buffer into low speed.
Call reaching now. Yes. And now I have to tell San Francisco Radio that we've reached 380, so I'm going to go ahead and do that.
San Francisco Radio, Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 043, San Francisco, go ahead.
We have reached 380.
Roger, you have reached flight level 380, San Francisco.
And now we can turn him off because it's quite a bunch of static and noise. And if he does need us, like we said, he'll give us a cell call to let us know that he wants us to talk to him.
The other thing we'll redo up I hear is if you can just bring up the engine out speed. Now that we've climbed up and we're a bit lighter, we will bring up what our speed would be for engine out. So we're prepared if we needed to, if we had an engine there.
233.
So right now it shows 233 knots, so if we were to experience an engine failure right now, our target speed would be 233 knots. And did you see what altitude it had us go down to?
265.
So it says maximum altitude is flight level 265. So should we experience an engine failure, our maximum altitude would be 26,500 feet. So we just set max continuous thrust on the remaining engine and drift down to 26,500 feet if it was an engine failure case. And in this case, since we haven't passed our equal time point, we'd be looking at returning to either San Francisco or another airport on the mainland.
Okay, so now we've done our position reports. We've talked to San Francisco radio. We got our altitude. We're cruising along nicely. One other good backup, like John had mentioned earlier, that we're here to monitor the systems, monitor the fuel burn, as well as monitor our progress. We want to make sure we are actually on course. We do have a very reliable, and we have two of them, flight management computers on board. But if something was entered in error, or if for some reason something went awry, we want to make sure that we're actually on course and we're on this yellow line. So the way we do that is we take the position that the GPS and the FMC tells us that we're over, and we bring it down to our, it's called our scratch pad, and you can see it says north 4415.8, west 133. So we'll look on our plot, on our map, and I'll do what's called a plot of where exactly this coordinate is, latitude and longitude, on the map, and if we're on track, it should end up on our yellow line. So you can see north 44. So if you can see, there's a 45 here, a north 45, and if you can see here, this is a north 40. So each one of these, that would be north 40, north 41, north 42, north 43, and north 44. We have to go west to 133. This is where you would see there's west 130, there's west 135, and then in between it'd be 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, and 135. So I'm looking for 133, which would be 1, 2, 3, that would be this line. And I'm looking for 44 at north and 15 degrees. So it's 44, as I mentioned, here's the 40 line, and we come up and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit for the 15 degrees brings me right onto this point here. It coincides, it means we're on our track, we're on our yellow line, and I'll even write down the time that we're over that, so that if we ever do end up off course, and I've got 1656 Zulu, that we know that at this time, if we end up over here somehow, we know, well, at 1656 we were here, so we can find our way to get back on course. And I'll do this again after this waypoint. I'll do it somewhere around here, as well as subsequent points, just to double check and sure, and then I make sure I tell the captain, I say, John, we're right on track.
Roger.
And that's it for that.
Okay, so we're just about 550 miles from the Kaului airport in Maui, just working through some of our preparations for descent inbound to landing. Going through the Jeppesen airport qualification and familiarization pages. You can see the location of the airport is between two mountainous areas on the island, with the peaks on the one side up to just over 5,000 feet, and the other side well over 10,000 feet. The note said it's located in the north shore of Maui Island, second largest island in the Hawaiian chain, measuring 42 nautical miles from west-east and 23 nautical miles wide from its most southern point. And as I said, there's two volcanoes at the east and west ends are its most prominent features. The airport is on the land bridge that connects the volcanoes, and an upsloping terrain on both sides of the bridge rises 1,000 feet MSL within 5 nautical miles of the airport. And then to the southeast, a man-made structure on the larger Halakala volcano rises to 10,070 feet within 15 nautical miles of the airport. And to the west, the Kuki volcano rises to 5,788 feet within 9 nautical miles of the airport. I apologize for my pronunciations of these Hawaiian places. Probably butchered them. So the one concern for us is the mountainous terrain going in there. good weather today. The clouds right now are showing 5,000 feet broken. And where we expect to be landing is on runway 2. And most likely they'll vector us downwind past the runway, then we'll be turning back towards the airport. So we should be traveling between the two high areas of terrain. So momentarily, Sean's going to work on programming the anticipated approach into the flight management computer. And right now our plan is to go over the Maui VOR after our last waypoint and then look for vectors for the approach from air traffic control. They may give us a standard star arrival on the way inbound, which we'll set up later if they do. And the other thing we're going to do is the runway in Maui is 6,995 feet, 150 feet wide. It's a fairly short runway for what we see in our operations, so we will get out our performance section of our QRH manual and just review in the configuration we're going to be landing, what our landing distance is required. And just initial thoughts before we look at the performance. We're going to plan to land flap 30, and we'll use auto brake setting of 3 and max reverse on both engines until we're assured of a safe stop. And then we'll have always the option of overriding the auto braking and using manual braking. And at this weight, actually, a 767, the performance is quite good, and we can land in just over 3,000 feet if we choose to. But there's no need to put the stress on the brakes or the airframe to do that. So we'll just be using moderate braking, and ideally we're aiming to touch down 1,000 feet down the runway, and having the remaining 5,000 and some feet left for landing. We'll be planning a left-hand exit off the runway and taxiing in towards the terminal building.
Captain John has asked me to set up for flap 30. But we have to figure out what the landing weight is before we do that. So the way I do that, I go to my prog page. This tells me how much fuel I'll be landing, which is about 10.7. So we look up and see we actually have about 13.9 on board right now. So that means it's about 3 tons less is what I have to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 3,000 kilos from our gross weight on our flap speed page. So I'll just put 121 minus 3 is 118. I'll put that into the box, 118.5, and then you see the speeds change. So he's requested flap 30. I line select flap 30, put it into my flap speed line, and then we will start setting our speed bugs for the approach. So we'll double bug 130.
Double bug 130.
170.
170.
And 210.
210, bug set.
Then I'll ask him what auto brake setting he would like.
3, please.
And he's going to do that because that's quite a far way for me to go. 1 is very low, 2 is higher. It goes by number, increased brake performance. 4 you'd use for really, really short, and max auto is if you're in trouble. It's you have to stop the airplane right away. So 3 is a good choice. He's selected that in. And then the next thing you wanted was the landing distance calculations.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get a rough calculation from the QRH for landing distance.
Because we are coming into a short runway, this is the airport diagram for Maui. And as he said, he'll be coming in on runway 2. We'll be approaching for runway 2 and land. And this is the runway here, runway 2. That gives us our total length in feet, 6,995 feet. As John said, it is quite short for our 767 operation. We don't normally land on such short runways, but we don't have a choice. This is all they have. The next one is 4,990. That's even less. We don't want to land on that. So we're going to take the ILS and land on that. But we're going to calculate to make sure, based on our weight and the temperature there and all the other factors, that, hey, can we stop this airplane on that much runway? How much runway do we actually need? So that's what I'm going to calculate here. And the way I'm going to do that is I look up in our QRH manual, quick reference handbook. We have a performance section that I go back to, and it says normal configuration landing distance for flaps 30 and a dry runway. So that means there's nothing wrong with the airplane. We're going to be using flaps 30, that's what John asked for, and it's a dry runway. It's not raining, so it's not going to be slippery.
And so I start looking down. You can see all the different headings and columns and all the different parameters that you have to take into account. For today, John asked for auto brake 3. That's the auto brake 3 setting. If we weighed 150,000 kilograms for landing, we would need 6,180 feet to stop. We aren't 150,000. We're less than that. We're about 120,000. So, if you look to the next column, it says per 5,000 kilos above or below 150, we're below. So when you're below, you would minus, use the minus 170. If you're above, you would be factoring in plus 260. So it's either minus 170 or add 260 for every 5,000 feet. We are below 150 because we are 120. We're below 150 by 30,000 kilos. You divide that by 5 and you get 6. 5,000 kilos goes into 30,000 kilos 6 times. So 6 times minus 170 is what I have to minus from the distance that we need. So let's, for argument's sake, call 170 200, just for easy math. 200 times 6 is 1,200. That's minus 1,200 I have to take off from 6,180. Let's call that 6,200 minus 1,200, 5,000 feet. So basically, by that calculation right now, at our landing weight, we need 5,000 feet. Is there anything else we need to know about? Are we above sea level 1,000 feet? No. Maui is pretty much close to sea level. The winds. Is there a headwind? Sure. Yeah, there's about 10 knots of headwind coming in on the approach, so we can. It works out in our favor because again, it minuses from the distance. So if 10 knots per 10 knots and a headwind, I'm going to minus 300 from the distance. So I was at 5,000, so we really only need 4,700, and so on and so on. So I would go down here and I've checked. The rest of these really don't come into play as much, except for the way we do our approaches. We're always VREF plus 5 on our approaches. This one says per 10, so we can actually take half of that and apply it just to err on the side of safety. So that's about 330 feet that I'm going to add to the 4,700 again, so I'm back to about 5,000 feet is what I need. So I've looked through here. We know that we have a total of 6,995, so I tell Captain John, I say, well, we roughly need about 5,000 feet. Let's call it 5,200, just to throw in a couple extra for our wife and kids. And then he decides whether he's happy or not.
Yeah, and that's acceptable like that. And like I say, if we're just planning auto brake 3 in max reverse, and if for some reason we need to stop sooner, we can just take the auto brakes off and go to max manual braking as required.
There we go. So now we've calculated that. Now we're confident without just going in blindly into a runway and hoping that we can stop. And of course, if it was wet and if there was other conditions, or if we had some kind of problems with the airplane, something not working, our auto brakes weren't working or something, we'd have to factor that and calculate. And we might see and realize we cannot land there, and there's no point of us even going in there. It's better to know ahead of time than going off the runway and saying, geez, I guess we couldn't land there. So in that case, we would probably divert to somewhere like Honolulu that has a much longer runway. So that's calculated. I've set up the approach basically for the captain. He's looked at it. We're waiting for, as we get closer, an actual clearance, and then they'll tell us how we're going to arrive into, and they're called STARS, standard arrivals. And we will follow that. We'll have that programmed into the box, and the airplane will follow that course and that path to eventually lead us to line up on the ILS for runway 2.
Well, with the radios rough tuned and the approach and the speeds done, are you ready for an approach briefing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're planning the ILS runway 2 into Kahului, Hawaii, which is 11th of June 2010, page 11-1.
That's what I have.
It's 110.1 for the India Oscar Golf localizer, and the front course of 024, which I see set. On the glide slope by Tebs is 3,000 feet, down to a decision altitude of 304 feet on the barometric altimeter. Call me 100 above and minimums, I'll call landing or go around flap 20. In the event of a go around, the missed approach is climbed at 3,000. Outbound via the Oscar Golf VOR radial 024, then a climbing right turn to 5,000, direct the Oscar Golf VOR, then outbound via the Oscar Golf VOR radial 190, and inbound to Lima November Yankee VOR radial 095 to the Camps intersection and hold. And as we looked previously, that approach, missed approach, and the hold are all in the FMC. The highest sector altitude within 25 nautical miles to the southeast is 11,300 feet. And to conduct the approach, we need 3/4 of a mile visibility. Right now the visibility is good, unrestricted. And any questions?
Negative. I will call you 100 above the minimum.
So as we already discussed, it'll be flap 30, auto brake 3, dry runway, and good weather. We may get, as we said, now we're planned for the just direct to the VOR and possibly vectors. If we happen to get given the Haiku 1 RNAV arrival, the restrictions in here is radar is required, GPS is required, which this aircraft is GPS equipped. And if they do give this to us, we need to maintain 280 knots down to 10,000 feet. Then expect the ILS or localizer runway 02. So why don't we just in the descent page put in our Mach speed transition to 280 knots?
280 knots.
So we're ready for that just in case we do get this arrival.
So basically I'm putting our transition speed, which means when we come out of a Mach, from our Mach speed, which is Mach 7.8, when we transition, which is roughly around 31,000 feet, we will transition to knots. And the airplane, we want the airplane to transition to 280 knots because that's the restriction on the plate. So I'm going to put that in. Ask John if I can execute.
7.8, 280, you can execute.
Boom. We never execute anything without confirming with the other so that somebody doesn't mistakenly put something wrong in the box that the other doesn't know of. I won't sit there and keep punching things and just executing because that's how mistakes happen and then the airplane can just all of a sudden turn and go off course. I put something in, John checks it, cross-checks it, he confirms it and I ask him, can I execute? And execute, and vice versa. When John puts something in, I have to check it, confirm it, and together we say execute it.
And just in case we have to go around, we might as well review a normal go-around. So in the event of a go-around, I'll call go-around flap 20. Ensure go-around thrust and go-around attitude are achieved.
Okay, I'll retract your flaps to 20. Ensure that you push the go-around switch. Ensure that you have sufficient go-around thrust. Look for the 3 go-around modes on my attitude indicator. And when you establish a definite climb, I'll call positive rate.
When you call positive rate, I'll call for the gear up.
I'll select the gear up.
And through 400 feet on the departure, it'll be LNAV.
I'll select LNAV.
Through 1,000 feet, we'll bug up to the top bug, which is 210 knots. We'll clean up. And when the flaps have been selected up and we're at the top bug, we'll go flight level change, climb thrust, command center.
At 1,000 feet, I will bug you up to VREF 30 plus 80. I will make the required flap selections. I will monitor your climb out profile. And then I will select, once you're leveled off, I will select flight level change, climb thrust, and command center.
Okay, so the minimum fuel for Maui, using Honolulu as an alternate, was 4.0, 4,000 kilograms of fuel.
That's correct.
Right now we're predicting landing there with 10,700, so that's 6,700 kilos above what the min fuel is, which translates into about 1 hour and 30 of extra fuel. So for some reason, if we do have to do a go-around, our intention will be to stay in the Maui area and plan another approach, unless for some reason the airport's closed, then we have to go to Honolulu. So we do have lots of fuel for decision making.
Excellent.
So as we descend, the indicated airspeed starts building up, although we stayed at a constant Mach 0.78. When we reach 280 knots, the airplane will switch to flying the airspeed and will maintain 280 knots. At that point, for the rest of the descent, down to 10,000 feet.
Air Canada 6, be quick, Air Canada 865, contact approach 124.1.
And then below 10,000 feet, we're restricted to less than 250 knots below 10, so the airplane will go back to 240 at that point. Seatbelt signs on.
UPS 902,
Roger.
factors. China Southern 123 is radar contact 50 miles northeast of Ziggy. Cleared Hollow Airport, direct to Maggie, and Maggie 3 arrival.
Confirm now, press position, direct to Maggie, then Maggie 3 arrival.
Clock 2117.
2117, Alaska 857. Level change, speed 300 knots.
Roger. HCM approach Air Canada is 043 heavy with you out of 185 to 7,000.
Air Canada 043 heavy approach, roger.
$6,000 to $5,000.
Roger.
Air Canada 043 heavy, descend and maintain 3,000, contact approach 119.5.
3,000 and 119.5 Air Canada 043.
Air Canada 043 heavy, HCF approach, roger. You just passed over the airport, do you have it in sight?
We lost it. It's a little bit of a cloud layer here. We had it.
Right. Lot 2200, the airport, about 10 o'clock and 17 miles.
Should have it in about a minute, Aloha, 2200.
Air Canada 043 heavy, turn right, heading 200.
Right turn heading 200 Air Canada 043. Yeah, 5 flat.
Here's the link to Tebs, please. Targeting 185 right now. Speed out to capture.
Altitude hold.
There's a straight line off tabs. Okay to execute.
024 to Tebs, you can execute.
All right, we'll follow them. Cleared visual 2, local 424.
Localize to capture, approaches armed. Up 15. Up 15, please.
Select it. Flat.
Targeting 170. It looks like we're just less than 5 miles behind that guy, so it looks pretty good.
Yeah, separation is good. Just trying to keep my lock on him.
Contact Maui Tower 118.7. Have a good day.
18.7, good day to you, sir. Canada's 043.
Maui Tower, runway 2, taxi via Alpha. Alpha to 2, left gate 62. Movie before, radar contact over the airport.
Tower, good afternoon here, Canada 043 heavy with you on the visual for runway 2.
Air Canada 043 heavy, Maui Tower, runway 2, number 2, clear to land, stop 340, 4 mile final.
Check clear to land, Air Canada 043.
Climb self-capture by Tebs 3000.
Blue 34, 300 feet climate.
5,000, set for the missed approach.
Roger. Over Temps. 3,000 feet, missed approach, 5,000 is set.
Clear down, flap 20, landing cycles to the line.
Yeah, Maui Tower, Alex 36 is white, Kapu 3000, after that. Leave on.
Alex 36, Maui Tower, squawk 0370, ident, remain west of runway 25.
0370, ident, remain west of 25.
Cabin alerted, altimeter is 3010 inches.
3010 inches set.
Landing gear.
Down.
Alex 36, radar
Speed
contact 7 miles southwest of the airport, crossing the field at 1,500, right turn to that, landing at that, pilot sunrise.
Final flap.
Okie dokie, we're at 3,000 feet, so
Up
big
25.
fields, or would it be possible to cross over the sugar mill and above 2,000 feet?
Alex 36, maintain 3,000, pass over the sugar mill at 3,000, landing at the hat pilot sunrise. Heavy Boeing 767 is 5 miles.
I'll be looking, and I'll maintain the separation with Boeing.
You have
71 miles
30
per hour,
flap.
taxi
VREF
off,
is
and, Alaska Boeing
130.
737.
You're up 130 right now, targeting 138.
Yeah, 246, go with your on
Air Canada 042 heavy traffic is Alex A-Star helicopter at 9 o'clock. 2 miles, maintaining visual separation.
On
we're looking for
at 2054 in 2059.
Route 34 traffic. 11 o'clock, 2 miles
All
after
checks
direction,
complete, you are cleared to land.
A-Star 3000.
Blue 34, not a sight. Maui Tower, Moku 424, cleared visual. 2. Blue 34, same position of Alex again.
Check traffic clearing, we're clear to land.
Maui Tower, Moku 424 with you, visual. 2.
Local 424 Maui Tower, runway 2, number 6 is the man, caution wake turbulence, heavy Boeing 767, 1 mile final.
Roger that, clear to land. Now, and east of the center line, can we start at 10?
Alex 36, approved as requested, remaining from runway 21 cease and landing at that pilot
100 above, stable.
Look out, Crouch 36.
Minimums, runway in sight.
Landing.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.
Alex 39 Hotel, turn left cross
Speed
runway
back up.
dead.
Left turn, ID, Alex 39 Hotel.
Brakes are off.
Manual braking. 80 knots.
Air Canada 043 heavy, continue to the end, turn left on taxiway Alpha Cross 25, taxi to parking district with me.
All the way to the end, left on Alpha, cross runway 5 and into parking Air Canada 043.
Alex 39 Hotel, radar contact half a mile west of the airport's altitude.
Right.
Welcome to Maui. It's parking at the gate, just a termination checklist to go, and we'll offload everybody and shut the airplane down so we can stay here for the evening, and another crew will take it back to either Vancouver or Calgary.